Welcome back, csc102, to part 2 of our Ex03 Grades GoogleSheets version. And we have this almost done. One thing that happened here when we copied our formulas is that because one was white, or it had a white background, it copied over and it got rid of our blue. That's easy to fix. You could highlight through these and then hold either Command or Control and just highlight through those. And then if you remember what color you used, I think I used the lightest blue here, then you could just fill that in. So that looks okay there. Now also what we're going to do down here, we have this light orange, we have a green and red. I'm going to fill these in down here. I'm going to go down here and fill this in with the light orange, which I think was that, and then fill this in with a light green, which I think I used, it was a little darker, and then I'm going to fill that in with a light red, which was the lightest red I had here. So they kind of match up to the colors up there. And let me move this so we could maybe see a little better, so we could see some of that at the same time. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to put the percentages. We have all the grades here, and again, you could always highlight this and hit the B button and make it bold or anything like that, and put the names in bold or whatever. Anything you'd want to change, you can, but that's okay for right now, as long as we have our values correct. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to add these things up. We're going to add up the values. So basically, it's going to say percentage of final grade. So we want to know that these grades, these 10 points, there's basically 100 points here because it's A1 through A10. Those 100 points out of 350 is the percentage of what are called the exercises. These are the exercises, these are projects, and this is a final exam. So we're just going to figure that out. So we'll just put a little formula in there. So we could just go in here, and I'm just going to do this manually. I'll just say equals sum again. Now what I'm going to do first is I have to add them up and then divide. X that out. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to sum these up first. So I might want to sum them and then divide them. So I'm going to sum up. Now remember, you want to use the cells. So I'm going to sum up B3 through K3. So I'm going to do B3 through, use a colon, and then K3. And then I'm going to close up my parentheses. I'm going to do my division after it so that it uses the right order. Then I'm going to make sure it adds them first. Then I'm going to use parentheses, and it's going to be divided by, so it's going to be 100 divided by whatever the total is in R3. Now I don't have to use the dollar signs here because I'm not really going to copy it, although there's nothing wrong with doing that. I could do $3. That way, if I want to copy it to the other ones, I could do that. Now, I don't have to even finish this off. I think I can just hit enter, and that should work. And down here, you could say it's 0.28. Now, if I click here and I use the percent, it's 28.5, and I could go down here and just even round it off and just make it 29%. So that's all you need down there. So now that you did that one, you could even copy this. Now, it would copy the color, so I'm just going to do it manually again, because these aren't that hard. So for this one, I'm just going to do equals sum, and then I'll do the same thing. I'll do my adding in parentheses first, and then I'll divide it by the R3. So this one is going to be L3 through P3. So it's not using these P1s or anything. It's using the column and the row. So it's L3. So I'm going to do L3 through, and that's why sometimes you might want to use capital letters. It might look better, but that's working fine. And then it's going to be P3. And then I'm going to close up my parentheses and then use the /, and it's going to be the same thing. And I could use dollar signs, or you don't have to use dollar signs. It's not a big deal. That's only when we're copying things. So you could just do R3, and then you could hit enter, and that comes out to like 57% of the grade. And again, use the percentage here, and then turn that down so there's no decimals there. And for the final exam, this is just going to be that divided by that. So we'll still use cell references here. So I'm going to click on that cell. Make sure you click on that cell and do equals sum. And then we should be able to do everything right in here because we're not doing two types of math. We're only doing division. So we could do it all in a parenthesis. So we could do Q3. So this is cell Q3 divided by R3. So we're going to do Q3 divided by R3, and we'll put it all in the parentheses, and it should look like that. And then I'm just going to hit enter, and then it comes out to like 14 or 0.14, and then I'll change it to percent, and I'll take away the decimals all the decimals so they look like that. And that's what we want. Now, the one thing we can't do on here that we do on the Excel version is we do a header and footer. They don't have a way, even in like Google Docs, to put in a header and footer. So what we're going to do here, well, what you could do, just so you know, that if you go to like File Print, they do have an area, you know, if you ever go to print this, you could go here and print it landscape, and if it's ever not fitting on, you could change the percent over here to like 90 and click somewhere else. And now that's all fitting on one sheet. And they have headers, footers down here. Now, you can just go here and put like the title, the sheet name, the current date, and stuff like that. You can't put custom things on here, at least for these, unless you're using some kind of headings or something. So you could put on sheet name, workbook title, page numbers, you know, current date, current time, anything you want to put on here, you could put on here, but they're not a traditional header and footer like you would put on like a Word document or like you could do in Excel. So that's the way this would work in here. So if you needed to change anything here, you could do it. You kind of go through where you're printed out. You know, even the margins here. It looks like you can adjust margins here when you go to print it out. I never really did this too much in Google Docs, but it looks like you can change the margins on here as well, top and bottom. But as far as headers and footers, you just put custom things on there. So, and I don't know if they have a way to save this as like a PDF or anything, because again, I haven't done this too much. Sometimes with a Mac, you could save a print as a PDF, but it doesn't look like in here like you can. It's not showing me a printer in here. I guess I could go next. I'm just curious to hear what would happen. And if you were on a Mac or something, or if you had the ability to save this to a PDF or something, save as PDF. If you did that, then you can actually save this as a PDF and turn it in, and you can have those headers and footers on it, but they're not really what I'm looking for. So I just wanted to point that out, but you don't necessarily have to do that. If you did this in Google Sheets, if you got this thing done down here, and make sure there's formulas in all these. I don't want you to just copy the numbers and stick them in here. These should be all formulas that you're using for all of these. That's the whole point, that we're learning how to do formulas. Whether you're using Excel or whether you're using Google Sheets, you want to learn to use formulas because that makes it more efficient. So this is what it should look like to be finished. And once you're done, you can just go to share and get a shareable link, and then just copy the link. And just like you're doing before, if you go to your coursework, now I don't know if I have one open here. Again, you would go to Unit 8 and look for that exercise. And oh, here, it looks like I do have it open up. So if you go here and you click on the link for Ex03 Grades, this is if you're doing the Google Sheets version. You're going to add a comment, and you're going to click on Insert Link. Make sure you do that, and then paste it here, and then it'll paste the same thing in the text and the URL, the link that's going to be there, and then just make sure you use New Window, because then when I click on it, it'll open up in a new tab, and then just hit OK. That's all you need. And then just hit save, and that's all you have to do. So don't worry about if you're supposed to upload something. If you do it in Google Sheets, I'll know that you're supposed to do that. So I just close the assignment and I give you credit. So don't worry about doing that. Even if it would close, I could reopen it. Even if it closes, you can still put the comment in there. So just let me know, hey, I put my Google Sheets assignment in there. It was closed. It said I had an F. I'll make sure I change it and grade this version of the Google Sheet. So don't ever worry about that. So that's all you have to do for EX3 if you're going to use Google Sheets.